Thank you for taking time out with Premier Sports Officials Association. Sean Johnston here, bringing you basketball rules topic, screening. Again, our main focus throughout the year is consistency, not necessarily on what is called, how it's called, but how we communicate after it is called. So our agenda today is going to be the definition of screening, a legal screening position, screening stationary opponent within their visual field, screening a stationary opponent outside visual field, screening moving opponents. Then we'll talk about the person being screened, their restrictions, and then we have some film and storytelling of how we should communicate what the players did illegal to prevent future illegal screens in a game or in that player's career. So the definition: screening is a legal action by a player with or without the ball while touching the playing court without causing contact, delays, or prevents an opponent from reaching a desired location. So here we have different types of basketball screens when it is taught by coaches. There are 26 types of coaching screens that we have to now categorize into a category of what type of screen it is. So what is a legal screening position? A screener can face any direction. It could stand next to an opponent, it could stand facing an opponent, it could stand with their back to an opponent. Depending how that dribbler uses the screen will depend on what direction they're facing. Time and distance are relevant. Now it changes based on the category, but time and distance is always relevant when it comes to screening. When a screener is not a dribbler, the screener shall be stationary. The exception is while moving in the same path and same direction of the opponent, and we're going to get into the dribbler being a screener. The screener shall remain in the vertical plane with a stance near shoulder width apart. So this is some interpretation, some vagueness, near. The philosophy is the inside part of the foot can equal the outside part of the shoulder frame. So the bigger the shoulder frame, the wider the screener can be. So the first category we're going to take a look at here. A screener on a stationary opponent within the visual field. Yes, this defender is looking at the opponent. How do we know he's within the visual field? His left arm is out there feeling that screener. He knows he is there. So in this case, the defender is stationary. The offensive screener must be stationary and could be as close as they can, short of making contact with the defender. The screener cannot initiate the contact even against a stationary opponent. Second category, stationary opponent outside of the visual field. So we're going to take a look at this screener right here. This defender is going to be stationary. This screener, as he moves forward, is going to be outside the visual field. The defender does not see that screener. So now they must give, as a screener, one normal step backward without contact. Because what's going to happen is the teammate is going to say left. That's telling his opponent or his teammate that the screener is on the left. They are now, as a defender, going to be able to take a step up, a step back, or switch without contacting that screener illegally. So outside the visual field, as in the person who's being screened does not know you're there, one normal step on that stationary defender. Now moving opponents. All right, so you have a defender guarding a active dribbler. They are doing some defensive slides to stay legally guarding that ball. The screener needs to allow time and distance to avoid contact by the opponent to allow them to stop or change direction. Depending on the level of play, depending on the speed of a certain play, will change where that screener can take place. It may be one. It could be two normal steps or strides. It's not a true black and white one or two steps or strides. So as an official, you just got to say, if it's a legal screen, in my judgment, enough time and allowance was given for that defender to stop or change direction. Or if you have it illegal, not enough time and distance for that defender to stop or change direction on that screen. A lot of times when we have illegal screens on these types of plays, it's the dribbler moving too quick before that screener is actually set in the proper time and distance location on the court to use it. So coaches, as you're coaching players to set screens, it is also important to teach your dribblers not to start dribbling towards the screener until that screener is stationary and set and has one or two normal steps away from that defender to avoid an illegal screen. So now, the person getting screened, they have restrictions. All right, so player screen within their vision is expected to avoid all contact. They go around the stationary screener. They go above, they go below, or they yell with their teammate, switch. If they are outside the vision, opponents can make inadvertent contact. And this contact may even be severe. All right, so inadvertent is incidental contact. The person who was getting screened was given time and distance. They had no communication from their teammate, and they are just running in the path of the person they're guarding, and they just make severe contact with a legal screener. They didn't extend their arm. They didn't lower their shoulder. It is a normal defensive movement like they were going to continue guarding the dribbler. Even though severe, this inadvertent contact is legal, right? But they cannot use the arms, hands, hips, or shoulders to force through a screen. And that's how we as an official will know if it's inadvertent or intentional. They extend their arms, they open their hands, they turn their hips, they lower the shoulder. That is how we know the person who's getting screened knows the screener is there. And once we know the person getting screened knows the screener is there, they must attempt to slow down, stop, change direction to avoid that severe contact. The last thing is a player cannot hold the screener, push the screener aside in order to maintain guarding position on an opponent. So a lot of times coaches will be like, that screener's moving. Well, that screener was moving because the defender actually forced the movement of the screener. Again, it is the person getting screened responsibility to stop, change direction, go above or below. When they change direction and show their hands, now any movement by that screener will be a moving screen. So here's some pictures of some illegal acts. This first one, we actually have two illegal acts. We have a screen outside the body frame, bumping the knee, and we have the defender having two hands on the dribbler. Officials, we have to get the first foul. So if the screener happened first, which caused the defender to be put into that position of putting two hands, the first foul is the illegal screen. And we know from previous training tapes, any common foul after the first foul is considered incidental contact. All right, so we have to judge. Two hands on first, hand check. Knee outside the body frame screening, illegal screen. Get the first foul. The second one, yes, a screener can face any direction, can have his back towards these defenders, but he has his arms outside his body frame. He cannot use his hands and arms to restrict and hold the defenders. A lot of times where this will happen is they are posting up and their hands are behind posting up the defender while that defender, their arms are holding, is trying to defend the shooter. All right, so a screener must be within their body frame, not only feet, but hands and arms. Third one, we had a screener facing forward, and as that defender stopped, changed direction to go over the top of the screener, now that screener sticks out their butt. That is illegal. That is moving screen. So that screener is now outside their vertical plane. Yes, behind, but still illegal. Where this happens a lot as well are players that have the basketball stationary. All right. So another teammate is going to rub off the dribbler or ball handler, and that defender is going to follow. And as they follow, that ball handler sticks out their butt or pivots. That's a moving screen. Again, a screener is a person with or without the ball. So the person with the ball is under the same restrictions. This third one is a good example of even if they started outside the visual field, we see this arm come up. They know that defender is there. They now cannot use this forearm, hand, knee to go through that legal screener. They must stop and or change direction. So now if this defender displaces this illegal or this legal screener, we now have a foul on the defense. Because what could happen is this screener gets pushed into this dribbler travels. We need to know what caused that travel. And it was the illegal push by the defender displacing the screener. Now let's take a look at some video. This play should be pretty recognizable. We're going to take a look at this screener. Number one, she is outside the visual field of the defender, so they must give 1 to 2 strides. Number two, legs outside the body frame. Right, the inside foot is clearly outside the shoulder. And then number three, as we press play, she does not get stationary and remain stationary. She takes this defender off her path. She's no longer able to guard the ball handler or the pass receiver. That is an illegal screen for 3 different reasons. Now we're going to take a look at number 12 here. This is an example of, is this a moving screener or does the defense move the screener? All right, so we're inside the body frame. We were stationary. Now this defender makes contact and is causing the movement, is using hands and arms to push through this legal screener. This is the gray. This is the art of officiating. All right, so we now have a clean shot. All right, since the offense is not at a disadvantage after this illegal act by the defense, this is not going to be considered a foul. Remember, a foul is not only contact, but after the contact, it puts the opponent at a disadvantage. The opponent did exactly what he wanted to do, catch the ball and get a wide open 3-point shot. So this would not be enough to call a push on the defense, but we must not be fooled and call a moving screen on the offense, as it was the defender who moved the screener. Now the next play, we have the same similar situation where we have a screener trying to get a 3-point shot for his teammate. As he sets the screen, number 9 stops and changes direction to go above the screener. Then the screener continues to move backwards, or is it the defense that pulls this screener backwards? The art of officiating. We have to see the whole entire screen to know who is at fault here. All right, so this is where we have to be very good double team officials. All right, yes, this is in the trails area, but actually the lead is going to see this whole entire action the whole entire time. So it's not necessarily consistency of this is an illegal screen every single time. This is a hold on the defense every single time. But whatever we judge, we have to be consistent how we called it. Foul on number 9, blue, moving the screener. Foul on white, moving while screening. That is the consistency we will need. Next screen, we have 2 players moving rapidly down the court. So this is where the time and distance is very important. So here comes the screener. Outside the visual field, if in your judgment, the defender is only looking at the ball handler, or inside the visual field, if you judge this player is able to see the screener. Notice this screener is not set yet. So he's not in a legal screening position. Stationary inside the body frame. He's still leaning forward and is not stationary inside the body frame. And we are now clearly within that time and distance needed for that defender to stop and avoid contact by changing direction. So this is going to be an illegal screen. 1, time and distance. 2, continuing to move the whole entire time. 3, outside the body frame. And 4, he turned his shoulder. He initiated contact with the defender. This is the type of screen that if we don't call, a game will get out of control. On this screen, we have a stationary opponent, and the screener is outside the visual field of the person he's screening. We must give 1 step for this defender to avoid contact. This is the example of the dribbler moving before the screener is stationary and legal. So coaches, players watching this, if you are dribbling and using this screen, you have to make sure your teammate is set and legal 1 step away. This is an illegal screen, making contact, moving while screening, and yes, the foul's on 44, but the person at fault is really number 7. So players, don't do that to your teammate. This play, we have multiple screens going on. This is the importance of off-ball officiating. All right, so we only need 1 official watching the ball. The center official will be watching this screen. The lead official will be watching these screeners and defenders as well. So number 12 is in legal screening position, maybe leaning forward to embrace the contact, not necessarily to initiate the contact. Now look at the left leg. He is now outside of his body frame, moving while screening, and the defense is not switching. All right, so we have an illegal screen right here. And if the officials would have just got the first foul, it could have prevented what's going to happen next. Now this number 12 gets set legally again. Does give enough time because it is within the visual field, 1 step. The defense does not stop or change direction, and they are not switching. All right, we have hands and arms being used. We have continual shoving, more shoving, more shoving, and all we had to do as officials is get the first illegal screen. And that's the big learning point of this video. If we do not clean up screens, it is going to be a messy game. Get the big first illegal screen in the game as early in the game as you can. It will clean it up the rest of the game. We're going to finish this training tape with storytelling time. All right, so when we have an illegal screen, we are going to tell the story by the signal first, blowing our whistle with a raised arm, closed fist. Foul. What type of foul? team control foul. Well, this could be a charge, this could be a push, this could be a lot of things, but we have to tell the story that it is actually a screening team control foul. So storytelling, moving while screener, all right? Screener does not have the ball, all right? Moving while screening. Screener rolls and contacts the same defender that is trying to stop and change direction. So now if the defense switches and you hear switch and the defense switches, yes, the screener can screen and roll. But since the defense, if they're trying to stay on the same offensive player, they are stopping, changing directions. Well, now that screener cannot roll into that defender who is changing directions. That is screening while moving. The defense did not want to switch. If they did switch, yes, legal screen now to a legal post up. Next one, storytelling, screening outside the body frame. Whistle, close fist, hand behind your head. Illegal screen, knees outside the body frame. Illegal screen, feet outside the body frame. Illegal screen, elbows outside the body frame. Illegal screen, shoulders moving to initiate contact. That goes into the initiating contact. Dribbler moved before that screener was stationary. Boom, close fist, hand behind your head. Screener initiated contact. Dribbler forced the defender into a moving screener. The next one, time and distance. Right, the screener was too close to that rapidly moving opponent. Whistle, close fist, hand behind your head. Time and distance, illegal screen. And then the last one, screening while moving. Thinking, God, when could that happen? The dribbler with the ball. They're going down the basketball court. They can legally use their body to prevent the player behind them from getting to a spot on the court. So when the screener has the ball and they are moving in the same direction, same path as a defender, that screener, they can't go backwards. They can't initiate the contact, but they could slow down, they could deviate their path, and the foul is on the defense behind that dribbler. So coaches, what to teach your players on defense? You have to clearly get on the outside of the body frame to avoid that dribbler to slow down and your defender running over that dribbler. Offensive coaches, though they can use their body moving forward, they cannot stop and move backwards. That is initiating a moving screen. That will be a foul on the offense. I hope this training tape was beneficial for you to understand not only what the rule is, but how we have to interpret the rule to judge and communicate which player was legal, which player was illegal, and why. Until next week's training tape, officials, remember, you're only as good as your last call.